Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is on the air. Joe Castello back with you. Got a big show for you this week as we get ready for the zMAX Dragway 4-wide, the second half of the 4-wide doubleheader, the mini season. Who will sweep the 4-wide? Will anyone sweep the 4-wide? And I was thinking a little bit about it. Like there should be a four-headed broom, right? Like it's not just a broom because you swept it. It's a four-headed broom trophy, right? So can somebody please make that? Can you just get out there, someone out there in the safety safari or someone, like a broom with 4 heads on it? And then when you sweep the 4-wide mini season, you've got this broom, except it's got 4 brooms on it. Isn't that a great idea? That's what we do here on WFO Radio. Big show for you today. Big show. Shawn Reed, Top Fuel racer, dived into the sport with both feet. He's going to be joining Alan Reinhart and myself. Randi Lyn Butner, making her Mountain Motor Pro Stock debut, friend of the show, going to be joining us on the show. And of course, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us just minutes from now. There are a couple of things that I want to tell everybody about. And of course, our great sponsors, and share the show. You share the show if you're watching on X. We want to go live. We want to share the show. It's been amazing how many new viewers have come through the fact that people can see that we're on live on X immediately. Plus, PowerTube TV has been tremendous. If you're watching out there on PowerTube TV, thank you so much. You can reach out to us on all the social media. And if you're watching in PowerTube in the WFO block, Thursday nights, where we run our WFO shows back to back, welcome to you. And thank you so much for checking out our program. If you love NHRA drag racing, this is the place for you. We cover the controversies. We cover it all. You meet the drivers, all that stuff. You get to know it. We've got a lot of people out there in the comment section. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to drop a link right now. You can find it on NHRA.com. But one of the things that has made WFO a fun destination for many fans, we've got a great fan base, is that when there's something to like vote on or push for, we try to rally the troops. And that's what we're going to try to do. USA Today has got an online poll for best motorsport event, like the best single event in motorsports. Like, what is it? What could it be? And it's definitely the NHRA US Nationals. That is a no-brainer. It's bigger, it's longer, it's got more cars, more races, not just one style of car, but 20 cars and motorcycles and amazing stuff. So if you love NHRA drag racing and you believe the US Nationals is the most significant motorsport event on the planet, as I do, even though maybe we don't get the love, this is the time. This is how to signal to the folks at USA Today. And I remember USA Today used to cover NHRA drag racing all the time. Yeah, newspapers, right? Who reads the newspapers? A lot of people still read the newspapers, guys. Like Papa Joe, my dad, he reads the paper every day. And he says, Joe, why is NHRA not in the USA Today anymore? What's up with that? They used to cover it all the time. And it's, social media is amazing. And the internet, podcasts, and live streams like this one, they're so great. But I don't know. I still think there's a place for the newspaper. So let's show those folks at USA Today who's got the biggest and best motorsports audience. Let's see how well we can do in the voting, right? And yeah, we're getting on it. We're stacking the deck. We're rallying our troops. We're getting people to vote. You can vote once per day. Get out there and do it. And of course, we ask you to share the show. Now, let me tell you about the people who make it possible. I'm going to tick through our sponsors, and then we'll get to Alan Reinhart. In the middle of the show, we'll go into detail about them. But CWT Industries, Randy Neal, Balance Machines, amazing stuff from Caterpillar, heavy earth moving machines, to your small block Chevrolet, touchscreen, quick, intuitive, accurate, faster than what you have in your shop, more than likely. Go to CWT Industries to find out more. Phillips Connect, of course, Smart Trailer Technology. Bernie Speed Shop, Josh Hart, over 100,000 square feet. They're buying cars, they're selling cars, they're doing frame-off restorations, anything you could want in the automotive field. And if you're looking for that absolute tip-top restoration, they can do it. Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com. Foggett, you heard a little bit about Foggett. Gary Stinnett, the new commercial from the Hike Motorsports Museum. How cool was that? That's when I went to Oklahoma and we shot that, and it came out great. Foggett can be used on anything, but it's designed for your high-performance racing engine. Available at Summit, available on Amazon, available at Foggett.com. FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, and of course, Total Seal Piston Rings. We'll let you know a little more about Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, Frank Hawley's, and Sam Tech later on in the show. But right now, let's bring on Reinhart. Let's bring on the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us now. Shawn Reed is already down there. He's getting warmed up a little bit. And Shawn Reed, Alan, comes from a universe that you know well, as in drag boat racing.
Yeah, he had a ton of success over there, and apparently he just got bored kicking everybody's butt on the water, so decided he needed a new challenge and thought Top Fuel. You know, you just mentioned Frank Hawley. Did you know Frank Hawley's in Las Vegas right now?
We're out there doing the dragster adventure in the schools and licensing people.
Yep, he walked into the tower on Sunday, getting his stuff set up to do his stuff this week, and so yeah, he's they'll take the show on the road. You know, if you thought to yourself, "Gee, I'd really like to go to Frank Hawley's school, that school," but man, Florida's a long ways away. Check it out. You might find out that he's coming to you. He comes to Tucson pretty regularly as well. I know there's a lot of racetracks that he will go out and tour. You can check his schedule and find out when he's going to be near you. Then you don't have to go to Florida if you don't want to.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought this up, Alan, because I think it's a great gift, right? Like you're a drag racer, you love it. The person that you're great friends with, your partner, a couple of buddies, maybe they don't get it, right? Well, the dragster adventure is affordable and they travel around. So you can actually get it as a gift for someone, and it's not like giving them a bill for an expensive trip to Florida. It's like, no, man, you can figure out what's closest and most convenient for you, and Frank comes to you. And they've got that dragster adventure. Like courses were $399 a while back, and now you're driving a dragster and you're feeling that great experience that is impossible, literally impossible to explain.
Yeah, and if you want to get a license, you can get a license. They've got a 2-day course where you'll leave there with everything you need to mail into the NHRA for your super comp or super gas license. The only thing I would recommend is when you go to the class, don't go to the same class with Amanda Busick.
Right, because she will dominate you.
Right, because she will crush everybody like a grape, like she did when I was there.
You were dominated by Amanda.
Well, she does weigh like 80 pounds or 90 pounds less than me. So, when she's like, "Hey, look, I got top speed," and we're all going, yeah.
There's the excuses coming out.
And I did it, I guess, heck, it's been 4 or 5 years ago now, because as much as I've been around racing, and I have raced quite a bit with door cars, but I had never driven a dragster. And that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted the experience of driving a dragster. So getting in a car that runs, mid-8s, 155 or 60 miles an hour, it ain't top fuel, but when's the last time you were going 155 or 60 miles an hour? And you get the experience. And not only that, but the whole Frank Hawley class, the mental aspect of the game, the physical aspect of the game, there's a lot to it that a lot of people, I think, don't really think about. It's like, okay, yeah, you get in, you hold the steering wheel, you push the gas, right? Well, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And anyway, I thought, even as long as I've been around the sport, I thought it was a fascinating adventure. And I learned a few things from Frank that I put into use still when I'm talking about racing.
Well, that is great news, and hopefully everybody in the audience knows that. And just hanging with Frank, right? Like whenever Frank comes around, I'm always like, oh my God, this guy is great, and he's got so much wisdom. And what can you say? I'm proud to tell their story each week on the show. And Shawn, the What No Way guy, went through Frank's school and loved it, and he is an NHRA National Dragster mover and shaker. The new episode is out. Everybody is out there talking about how they're movers and shakers, and it's just so cool to see so many people coming into the sport of NHRA drag racing. But that's the deal, right? You can either watch it or you can participate, and that's how we get new drivers like our next guest. Let's bring him on. He's down there. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, top fuel racer, Shawn Reed. Shawn, move to your, your left a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
There he is. What's up, Shawn?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Thrilled.
Thanks,
I'm great.
thanks for being here. Let me ask you, let's just dive right in. I know that, you drove for the Peyton family. You made some runs down the racetrack. This certainly wasn't virgin territory for you. But as a team owner, as the guy behind the driving force behind the whole thing, as being out here trying to make a full-time run at it, how's it going? I mean, you've 5 races in now, 4 races in. So tell us a little bit about what's run across that you didn't expect and what you've done that, you knew this was coming, but maybe weren't quite ready for it.
Yeah, everybody said just add another 0 to what you think, and that's about true. The first 4 races have been really great. I mean, Rob and Ryan and Tuna and the guys, they've been doing awesome. We kind of got, weather hurt down in Gainesville. We went there to make 6 or 8 laps down the track, and it rained on that Tuesday and Wednesday, and we got
he got a text message. He's got a text message, and that cut off his Bluetooth. Are you back with us, Shawn?
Yeah.
You're back with us.
Yeah, I'm there.
When you get a text message, it cuts off you. Just do that over and over again. If we get cut off, this is the link. Just keep coming back through.
There you go.
Did, and you'll be a world champion.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm popular. Not really.
You're very popular.
So, the weather hasn't helped us in Gainesville, but we ran pretty good back there, and then I made a few mistakes over in oh my gosh. I made a few mistakes over in Pomona, and I smashed up a throttle cable, and that's what I kind of couldn't get off the line against Justin Ashley. But hey, our heads are real high, man. The car started to run good in Phoenix. We got a round win, and car ran good in Vegas, and not hurting any parts. And I'm pretty excited about new team. Like I said, I've said it all along. We didn't even have a screwdriver or hammer in December 1. So we've made a long ways, and I'm looking forward to heading to Charlotte tomorrow.
I'm excited. I wanted to have you on because Shawn and I had multiple conversations over the last year, and you kind of, shepherded me through your decision-making process of like, we're going to do this. We're going to throw caution to the wind. Can't be half in. Got to build a team. Got to get out there. Got to show everybody that we can do this. And that's how we'll get a sponsor. That's how we'll show the world that we are qualified racers. That took a tremendous leap of faith. And, hopefully interviews like this can help tell your story, but just take us back a little bit to that moment. You'd driven in the NHRA before, you'd had success, you've been to final rounds, but you were tired of sitting on the sidelines, waiting for an opportunity. And you did like so many drag racers do. You made your opportunity happen. And now you're in the middle of it and you need some support.
Yeah, we are looking for partners, and just the little things I have picked up with Redline Oil, Matco, Lincoln Welders. I mean, all these guys, the product support that they give me is just awesome. I mean, I couldn't do it without all these little people helping the little people like me. I got this motto: you got to spend money to make money. And, I started my business in 1998 with $100. And, I kind of want to build my race team the same way. And it's something that Barbara Hughes always instilled in me. It's like, you gotta make your own way. Nobody's going to give you anything. So I wanted to put a product out there. We look good, we run good. And hopefully partners will see what we've done, and we're set up for somebody to come in and take us to the next level. Help us get to the next level. Antron Brown and that entire organization has done fabulous for us, and Rob working with Brian Karate and Mark and Brad and Chris, and it's just been pretty dang good so far. I'm really excited about where we are and where we're going.
You mentioned Barb Hughes. I know that Hughes Oilfield was with you during your boat racing days. I know they helped you out a few times when you came over here and kind of were sticking your toes in the water. Do you still have that relationship?
Well, Barbara and Floyd both passed away in the COVID years, and that's kind of,
sorry, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, they so we were I ran in Pomona and Phoenix of 2020, and COVID hit right in Gainesville that next month. And it pretty much shut down a lot of things, and their company was one of them. They went from a few hundred trucks down to maybe 75 or 80 trucks, and so that was my doomsday there. And then we were just starting to talk about coming back somehow, some way, as probably another rental ride. And then she died of August. She died the day before my birthday, August of 21. And then Floyd passed away about a year later. But I do still talk to Jason once in a while, and the grandson and the nephew took over the business, and it's still around. They're thriving, and I'm working with them right now on maybe some partnering for Ennis at the end of the year. So I still talk to them. They're a great family, man. They've given me so much. And I just met her at a boat race in 2010. I mean, they're wonderful people, wonderful family, wonderful business. And it's just, a little different mindset now. Barbara's really giving, and, the younger generation, not so. I've been there, and now I'm getting older, and I want to try to give, but, I gotta get it to give. So that's what I hope to do in the future is, with this team, is make it a business, and then help. I couldn't get into this thing till I was 50. I hope to give people opportunity, coming up down the road.
They would benefit by
I'm sorry, I
being
wasn't
involved
aware.
with
I wasn't aware that they'd passed, so I apologize for bringing that up. But thank you.
No. It's all good. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. I'll tell you, they taught me a lot about, how to do things. And I mean, I remember specifically to like exactly Ruidoso, New Mexico. I went down there and asked them for a little bit of money to go car racing. And she says, well, you got a license? And I said, well, no. She goes, well, nothing's going to happen until you get one. And so I dug deep back then and paid Barry Payton and Todd Payton some money to get my license. And I went back about, 4 months later with my license. And she says, well, how much money do you need? And I said, I don't know, about $100,000. She goes, all right. I go, well, I could have used 2. That ended quick. That was 100.
So, you should have said 2 though.
I'm not real good at asking people for money. I mean, every time I look at my checkbook, I'm like, man, I got to go ask some people for some money. And then when you get right down to it, it's the hardest thing in the world to do. I mean, I'm not too good of a salesman on that. So I'm just biting the bullet right now, doing it on my own. But, we've got a few things in the works, and hopefully we could pick something up. And like I said, my platform, NHRA gave me my platform. I've got a platform now to bring somebody in. I'm ready. The other half, I took kind of Justin Ashley's spot on the one side of Antron Brown. So, that hospitality can open up for me anytime I need it. So hopefully that's what we're working to.
And how did that one come together? Like that's one you partnered with Antron Brown. There is no better person, personality wise, talent wise, just good human being wise to be near and partnered with and learning from, because he's, speaking of wanting to share his experiences and help the next generation, he seems to have gotten that a little earlier than most do. How did that come together?
Well, it really came together when I started talking to Rob Wendland, and there were some rumors about maybe him getting over into a funny car, or Matco wanting a funny car. And so I kind of put it out there like, hey man, I could probably get $1 million put together if, maybe I could drive you a dragster and you can get in a funny car. That's how it kind of all happened. And then I soon realized that I probably wasn't going to fit the mold for young, marketable, whatever. So I decided just to, do it my own and go my own way. And, but as I did in boat racing, when I got started, I met somebody and one of the first pieces of advice I got is, if you want to be fast, look at somebody in this sport, boat racing, that's been going fast and doing it right for not just 1 or 2 years, but a number of years, and get hooked up with them. And I like, Antron Brown, besides being Barbara Hughes's favorite driver. I know, but I mean, everything. I know, man. I just like Barbara Hughes she goes, that Brown man. She goes, I just love that guy. I just love that guy, that brown chocolate. And then Antron walks up and he'll be like, oh, look at you, purple hair and brown chocolate. I mean, he's just getting right on it, right? And I'm like, oh my God, it was brutal back then. But Antron she just used to sit in the car, and Antron would come up and talk to her, and she would just be loving this. But anyway, to get back to the AB deal, I just started talking to him. I'm like, man, we should, I'm getting ready to buy a bunch of parts, and I'm talking to Rob Wendland about being my crew chief, and I know Rob and Brian got a relationship, and I'd like to start buying parts that you're buying, because I think it would be a great deal for both of us. I mean, you got the, you got the 2 Capco cars, and you got, you had Proc and Brittany, and now you're going to have Ida and Tony and Leah and Tony Stewart, I thought was going to maybe be a 2-car team. And I'm like, man, I think it's going to take 2 cars and sharing information and, to continually improve. So I thought, man, I'll buy the same parts and pieces if you want to, kind of, tutor me along and help me out. And that's kind of how it all got started. And then it didn't just happen. It took, several months for it to kind of all come together to where we were going to kind of be technically aligned. And, he helped me, get some Matco deals going. And he's just been great, even, I mean, like I said, I've got like 15 runs or 16 runs in 4 years. And, I haven't made any, huge mistakes yet, but I mean, I'm not really stellar on the lights yet. I'm very comfortable in this new car that's been, that built for me. So I'm very comfortable there. I'm just not trying to think too far ahead. I'm not thinking about winning. I'm just thinking about getting the routine down. And then after I do that, everything will start slowing down a little bit for me, but it's fast.
Well, obviously you and Antron have got a great relationship. What about the rest of the Nitro field? I mean, have they embraced you as a new owner? Have you, gotten hooked up with somebody that, gee, that guy's a whole lot different than I thought he was on TV one way or the other? Or how has the brotherhood welcomed and embraced you?
I was just thinking about that actually last night. I'm like, so Steve Torrance's wife, Natalie, does my social media, and as I became an owner, I people will give you a little bit more respect, I guess, than just, being a rent-a-ride guy, I guess. But, I really do like most everybody in my class. I mean, Justin Ashley, what a great kid. I mean, I'm like, I tease him. I'm like, man, you gotta, if I run 75 and you run 80, I'm probably going to lose. I mean, I don't know how the kid's got super talents. I don't know what he does, but he can hit the throttle before the yellows come on and have a green light. I don't know how he does it, but, I mean, Tony Stewart, I mean, we were in between Phoenix and Vegas, and Tony and Leah, and we were all sitting in the channel in the Havasu talking like the day before we came to Vegas. And he's been great too. I mean, we're both kind of new to the class, and Steve Torrance, I mean, Langdon, I mean, all these guys have been really pretty good. The crew chiefs have been excellent. You know, walking up to me and going, "Wow, you built it right. You did it right. You know, good job." And you know, we're not running in the low 70s yet, but we're pretty consistent in the mid to upper 70s right now, which is what we really wanted to try to do. And yeah, it's really been pretty good with all the people so far. I mean, just as being a team owner, I kind of really don't even look at myself as a team owner. I kind of, you know, I walk up on the starting line. I'm like, I'm looking for somebody to kick me off, you know, like, am I supposed to be here? You know,
well, that could happen regardless. Okay. That has happened regardless.
Well, I got kicked off of Seattle starting line the other last year. And I'm like, man, this sucks. My own hometown.
All right, let me ask you, you know, Rob Wendland, that coming together, and everybody out there, if you're watching on X, if you're watching, share the show, right? Like, you push this guy, Shawn Reed, out there because he's got a great personality. He's a great talent, and more people need to hear from him. Like, I've spoken with him a lot, and I'm learning a lot in this interview. So give us a share out there. We would appreciate it. But Rob Wendland, I always thought Rob is a great guy, genuine character, like, you know, he's got his own stuff going on, but was, in my opinion, the most talented, not full-time crew chief out there, and you remedied that problem. How did you guys come together? And he's shared a lot of information with me, like about your chassis and how the car was built specifically for the hot weather months, and all those things that he learned with Terry McMillan, they're applying to your car. Mm-hmm. He's not eager to just go out there and be a part of it. Like, Rob is trying to turn this thing into something, and I know that is your goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this because I want to win. You know, but I'm racing against the very, very best in the world, you know, and these guys have been doing it for years and stuff. And, you know, and I thought, you know, so far it's like, you know, in Vegas, you know, 87, 85, it cools down to 72 on Sunday. You know, it's the weather hasn't been, I want to get to the hot months, but I think our car will really go pretty good in the heat. Although I think it's going to go pretty fair in the cool weather too. But Rob Wendland, I started talking to him a couple of years ago, and it just, you know, he's been great because he's kind of mentored me along with parts and pieces and things to buy and do for a year and a half. And I didn't give him anything. He was just doing it because, you know, he didn't really know how serious I was. But, you know, once I, you know, collected about $1 million worth of blocks and heads and cranks and stuff, he kind of got on board, like, this is really going to happen. And I left it up to him to find, you know, the crew and how he wanted to do it, whether he wanted fly-in guys or full-time guys. And, you know, it's been pretty good. I've really only been to the race shop 2 or 3 times. I kind of just let them do their thing over there. I got important things to do. I'm here in Missouri. I got my main business back in Washington State, Seattle, Tacoma area. And then, you know, they're over in Indy. So I just try to stay in my little holes and get my work done so I can go racing on weekends.
How did you end up in Missouri? I've always known you as a Northwest guy. And when you started doing this on a more full-time basis, it shows your home base being in Missouri. How did that all come together, and how does it work?
Well, I got a pretty good guy running my company back in Washington. I still bid all the work, and I still sign every check. So, you know, we have, you know, computer systems these days. I can still see foreman reports and things happening around the company. I monitor it every day. So I still know what's going on in the company. Now, about, you know, 7 or 8 years ago, you know, I met my wife Andrea, and, you know, at a boat race, because her dad Lou Osmond had the Speed Sport Top Fuel Hydro, and so we ended up dating for 5 years. We got married 2 years ago. So since we did this long distance thing for 5 years, and now we built a house in Missouri in Defiance on 3 acres, a nice place, and I got a nice big shop, and I like it. I like it here, except for the humidity. Humidity's terrible. I mean, I've canceled tea times because I wake up in the morning. I mean, like, it's beautiful for 3 days, get a tea time for 8 o'clock in the morning, take a shower, walk out the house. I'm like, nope, I'm not going. I just, no good.
Toughen
So,
up, man, come to Miami, see what real humidity is about.
no,
Toughen
well,
up, Shawn.
so the problem is this. I put this back to the old boat racing days, getting all suited up, getting ready to get in the capsule. Let me tell you something. When you're already miserable, it's not that bad. So, like, if you know you're going to be miserable, it's not that bad. But when you think it's going to be good, and then you walk into misery, no.
All right.
And I do call it misery, by the way. It's misery for short for me.
Yes,
But
misery.
anyway, so we got married, and so she still has a couple kids. One is in college now, one's going to college, and one little one. So I don't know where we're going to end up in the end, but we do have the place out there in Havasu, and we're just kind of trying to see. But that's how I ended up in Missouri. Is Andrea told me I was coming here.
Smart husband knows when to say yes.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's fact. And she's been involved in this since jump, right? I remember having great conversations with you guys. Very supportive. Yep. Alan, next question.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the 4 wide coming up here in Charlotte, and then looks like it's going to start warming up. So you sound like you're really you're geared up for that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the 4 wide don't really bother me. Like I said, I'm not really. I'm just trying not to make any big mistakes on the tree. I'm getting in there, and in fact, I think one time I was last to stage, and I'm just trying to do the same routine every time. I was hoping to get a round win on in Vegas. We went down the track all 4 times in qualifying, and we smoked the tires. We got Tony and Justin Ashley and Terry Tottenquad, and man, it was kind of a bummer, but if you think about it, I haven't really got the best draws in 4 races. I mean, I've lost to Justin Ashley twice. He's kind of good. And then I lost to Steve Torrance twice. Yeah, he's okay. I mean, I haven't really gotten the really great draws yet. So, but we've been qualifying in the top half, which is, holy crap. I've never been number 7 before, even in a Vandergrift car, which was a fast car. And so qualifying number 7 in Vegas, number 8 in Phoenix, running in the 70s in Gainesville for the first time out. I mean, like I said, I'm extremely happy about where the team is right now. And, I don't think it's, I would be lying we don't have expectations to be top 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, I'd like to be in the top 10, get in the top 10, and for the first year I just want to be somebody that has a good car, a good crew, going to go A to B. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes, and if you're going to race us, then if you haze the tires, you might as well just stay out of it and save the parts, because we're out of there.
Gotcha. All right. So I reached out to Rob Wendland, right? Like, hey, is there something I should ask Shawn about might give us a little right? And he gave me 2. One that is more serious and one that is definitely not serious. Which would you like to hear?
Give me the serious one.
Okay. Ask him about his driving credentials, boats, planes, semis, race cars, heavy equipment. Where did you learn to drive all this stuff? Like, he says that maybe the best driving record of different crafts of anyone. He told me about you guys out on the water in Nevada. And I went and checked out that video, and obviously that is your forte and incredible talent. But how does one acquire all this talent to do all of these things?
Well, starts by, putting together an okay business and getting a guy to run it to where I can get out there and play a little bit. But that's why I try not to do a lot of different things, because I tend to fall in love with a lot of stuff. And, I went on vacation. I've always been a boat guy. I've had boats since I used to pull a $30,000 drag boat with a $800 Buick Regal just to get it to the lake, man. I had a 76 Buick Regal. It was maroon in color. Depends. It was like a faded maroon in color. It had like, if you hit a bump in Olympia, Washington, it wouldn't stop bouncing until you got to Portland, Oregon. And I pulled my drag boat with that thing for like 4 years. So, but the plane and the boats and the Havasu house, it's just really where I wanted to be. I like the weather. I like being on the water, and the plane. I went down to Destin, Florida, and my stepdaughter, we went to eat on this little inlet, and they had these little float planes, seaplanes coming in there, and so she got a ride in it. She said, "Oh, that was so much fun." And I'm like, so I went over to the guy and you got to have a license for this thing? He goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right." So I got back, I checked into it, and kind of like I did in the dragster, like I wasn't sure I was going to do this, but I ordered 10 blocks, 15 cranks, 10 sets of heads, rockers, lifters. And as I was $1 million in, I'm like, well, too late to stop now. Same thing with the plane. I did my research. I found out what plane I wanted. I ordered it, gave him 50 grand, ordered a brand new plane. It was going to take a year to make and build. So I had a year to get my license. And I found out that when you're in your mid 50s and trying to run a business and build a house in Missouri, you don't learn as quick as you should. So it took me a little longer to get my license, but it was, I'm glad I got it now. It's great. You saw the picture, little float plane. I took Rob up around Hoover Dam and took him down the Colorado River and, flying, 5 feet off the water. And it's fun. It's kind of like golf. There's, no matter how bad you shoot, it's just still fun. And it just takes when I'm up there, I do feel like a bird, nothing bothers me. You're floating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Any curiosity to the not so serious question?
Well, I thought that would have been the non-serious question,
No,
but okay.
That's the serious question. This is from Rob Wendland, guys. This is not.
Yes.
This is Rob.
Yeah.
Ask him.
I'm sure he's laughing right now.
Ask him what his relationship is with baked beans.
Oh yeah, baked beans. Yeah. So I didn't tell him.
I didn't. This is thanks.
Well,
Rob.
I didn't tell him. I got a little deal going for Chicago and Brainerd, and it's a saucy spoon, baked beans, and I got to do a little promotional stuff for him. It's just a little help in.
Oh, and we lost him, Reinhart. That's it.
I didn't take
back.
him.
He's back. He's back, right? You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. I was lost.
You were lost, and now you're found.
Oh, wow. So anyway, I don't know how much you got of that, but
baked beans.
Yeah. I got a little deal, but I forgot to tell him that I was getting some products shipped to the shop, and they opened up a bunch of boxes, and Ryan, the guy that orders all the stuff, he got like 10 cases of stuff, and he goes, "Oh man," he goes, I was just talking to someone, he goes, "I must have screwed up something because I got 10 cases of baked beans here." I was ordering race car parts, but so we gotta put the saucy spoon baked beans on the side of the car in Chicago. Not real big, but just big enough to give us a little help. Yeah,
I love it.
So it's good.
So
saucy spoon baked beans. I'm a baked bean eater. I do like baked beans. It's like potato salad, baked beans, hamburgers,
Well, don't forget to grease the announcers with the baked beans. We like them too. Ooh. And isn't it funny that the serious question was the lighthearted question? And
yes.
The lighthearted question turned out to be the serious question. There you go.
Welcome to Rob Wendland. That's exactly
Amazing stuff. Shawn, thank you very much for joining us here on the show. I really appreciate what you're doing. And I love what you said about the other people in the sport, realizing that you took the plunge here, and that shows and signals you're in for NHRA drag racing. You want to help this thing grow. You're in it. You're spending your money. You're taking the plunge. You're, is it wise? Yeah, of course it is. You're going to make it. And we want to help you. And so good luck this weekend. And thanks for coming on WFO.
I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you guys probably Friday sometime. I'm going to go golfing Friday morning.
There you go. We'll see you
right next to the racetrack. You might as well stop by on your way in.
It's right there. We'll
run till 5 o'clock.
Launch a couple of
I know.
Right.
Try to get him to the tower.
Do it. That's wouldn't be the first or last time.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
See you, Shawn.
There you go, Shawn Reed with us here on WFO. How great was that, Reinhart? Oh my goodness. He's got a little deal coming. He's put it together. The days of walking around with your helmet and like asking for money, and then maybe someone gives you money and then you go buy everything, I feel like those days are over. The way that Shawn is doing it, and Justin Ashley did it, and others are doing it, going out there and swinging for the fences and making it happen. That seems to be the style that's working.
It is. And it really comes down to being able to provide value. If you're going to go out and tell somebody, hey, just give me some money so I can go racing, unless you've got some really well-heeled friends that think a lot of you, that's going to be a difficult sell. But if you go to somebody, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be, I think like the Hughes Oilfield transportation thing is a perfect example. Somebody sitting in the grandstands isn't going to go, oh, hey, I need to call and do business with Hughes Oilfield transportation. But when we go to Texas, if they put together a program with the hospitality over there, splitting with Antron, where Hughes can bring their customers and their people out for a day at the races, that now justifies the investment that's going on out there. And there's a lot of that, that I've heard from fans, over the years. When it first started, it was kind of an eyebrow raiser, and then it's gotten bigger and bigger. And there's a lot of fans that are like, oh, geez, all the room with all this stuff, we just want race cars. We don't care about the rest of this stuff. Well, the rest of that stuff is what pays for the race cars. Cruz Pedregon has Snap-on dealers come out. They have Snap-on VIPs come out. That pays for the program. When a guy on a tool truck can say, hey, buy this box or do this deal, and we'll get you, you'll have a VIP experience, or you go into a drawing, you do something, that drives business. And so that's what all that trackside stuff is. The Levi Ranch Shop thing is another perfect example. I don't know that there were 5 people sitting in the grandstands over the course of the years that saw that on the side of Tim Wilkerson's car and said, hey, I need to call Dick Levi to take over my stuff. But the company was big enough and it was spread wide enough around the country that they could bring customers out for a day at the races. And it's, hey, if you do business with us, this is one of your rewards, right? I mean, it's a weekend getaway, it's a whatever, and that makes business sense. That's the way you've got to go out and sell it. So, there's a lot of different connections you're trying to make. There are certainly people out there that are hoping the name gets seen, and the name, the old shotgun marketing thing, right? If you put the name here and here and here and here and here and here and here, then when a guy walks into the store, he'll go, oh, that name's familiar, and he'll buy that. Or you can do a B2B thing, or you can do, there's a lot of different ways that people not only justify spending the money in NHRA, but get their return on investment in NHRA. And the fact that we have trackside hospitality, the fact that we have open access, the fact that a guy can walk up to Josh Hart's trailer and say, hey, I've got a CDL. I've been driving trucks for 10 years. I'm not happy with where I am. I'm looking for something. And the R&L people can say, come in, sit down. Let's talk about this. Let's see what there is. Those kind of relationships are next to impossible to do any place other than NHRA. That's a big part of what drives our business and what drives our sponsors.
That is a fact. And I'm certain that Shawn is going to continue to do well. He has put, he mentioned Ryan Elliott, so many great talented guys over there with Rob Wendland. They're teammates with Antron. And I feel like they are going to punch one in. And Rob told me that the chassis was designed for the summer months. And so let's see if that plays out. All right. We've got another guest, Alan Reinhart. We're going to do our preview and all, but we're getting ready for the second 4-wide race. And this is East Coast Returns, Mountain Motor Pro Stock going to return. And the sport's newest Mountain Motor Pro Stock racer is about to join us now. We know her and love her as Stock Eliminator rocket ship. Randi Lyn joins us now. What's up, Randi Lyn? How are you?
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
All good. How about you?
Oh, getting ready for this crazy weekend.
Yeah, I am super excited for you going through this process. I always knew that you'd be a great pro stock racer, but I didn't expect the mountain motor situation. How did that come about?
You know, for years, Richard Freeman has said, I'll talk about all of the drivers driving and criticize, and he'll say, we'll see. One of these days we're going to see. And, I just kind of blew him off for a long time. And then our sponsor, Jason, with Johnson Horsepower Garage, he loves the mountain motor class. Everything from the hood scoops to the horsepower and the sound they make when they fire up. So somewhere along the lines, they were like, Bo and Randy need to run a mountain motor car. And I was pretty intimidated in the beginning, and I'm probably still pretty intimidated to this point. But I've made some runs, not a whole lot of runs, but they seem to be pretty confident in me, more confident than I am in myself. So we're ready to go, I guess.
But you're on the show, which I love. Like a lot of people are, well, let's see how I do before I come on and talk to you on WFO. No, man, Randi Lyn is on, and we're going to live it through her. Alan, what's your question for Randi Lyn?
Well, I just noticed a Firebird sitting behind you. Are you going to be double dutying this weekend?
I wish. Actually, I ran it this weekend at Bowling Green in a stock super stock combo. And while there was an oil down in front of me, I was kind of practicing in my head, like going through all the motions of my mountain motor car. And then I rolled up, and I think I forgot to do a burnout. I forgot to know how to do a burnout in my Firebird. So I think Bo was probably right. I probably need to keep the two separate right now. I'm definitely not as good as him in keeping that straight. So I had to back up, and yeah, it was kind of embarrassing after 13 years of running my Firebird. But I just have that mountain motor stuff in my head right now and trying to do everything right. And even though there's not a whole lot of pressure from my surrounding people, I feel a lot of pressure. I don't want to let anybody down.
You want to perform. All right, let's look at the car. This is the paint scheme that I think the world has been waiting for. What is that? Is that a charcoal? Is that a graphite? What, Randi Lyn, everybody knows that you are heavily involved in the planning and caretaking of everything. Hot Rod Randy's Horsepower Headquarters, all of that. These are the colors, but this car is beautiful.
Yeah, it looks super fast and really cool. Basically, when we started putting this whole mountain motor deal together, Jason Johnson was like, he was feeling matte black at the time, and he was like, let's go with some matte black. And in my head, I'm definitely like an old school. I like shiny paint. I like paint. So in my head, I'm like, man, how can we make this, matte black, like really pop and really look good for Jason? And it's kind of a collaboration. Chase Huffman helps a whole lot. Austin Williams, me and him collaborate, draw pictures, send them back and forth. And then we kind of fill Bo in, and he tells us when we're crazy and not. And yeah, it's kind of just how it ended up.
When's the last time Bo told you were not crazy?
It's probably a daily basis with some of the ideas and projects that I start. I start a whole lot of craziness around here.
Hey, what's the quickest and fastest you had been before the mountain motor car? I know you've run some super comp. Did you run some top dragster also?
Yeah, I licensed in Top Dragster in Vegas last year, like right at the end of the year when we stayed. And I went, I don't remember what the ET was, but like 180 miles an hour. So way different than the 220 that I'm going in a door car, in closed.
Different wheelbase also.
Yeah. Well, and in a mountain motor car with the engine right in front of you, when you fire it up, you have an animal that you have to control. And in a dragster, it's behind you. Like you don't have that same feeling in a dragster. It's going to go straight, like it's lined out. It's, not that it's easy, but you have a game plan. The mountain motor car, I told my sister after my first run, when I shook, that it was a lot like Mario Kart in real life. And I still kind of feel like that when you shake. You're like, oh crap, here we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, share the show out there.
Well,
Those of you
no
watching, share the show. I just wanted to mention that Randi Lyn Snyder is out there. Says good luck to you, Randi Lyn, and great to meet you this past weekend. You're bringing your own fan base to WF.
Yeah, I hope so. We hope, we're all in this together. So when WFO grows, we all grow.
So true. Alan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you're definitely a lot busier in a mountain motor car. Is it the first time you've driven a clutch car in competition?
Yes. I have drove very little stick cars ever. We put a Tremec in my 69 Camaro for a little while. And it was not real good. One, because it's been tubbed and stuff, but I always hated going up hills. Other than that, my brother had a Mazda. We called the Maserati. And Scott Lamar taught me how to drive Zippy years ago. His little trailer car that had a stick in it. And other than that, I had no real experience in a stick. Driving, definitely not any kind of race car, even though I've always wanted to put one in the Firebird and learn. So in the beginning of this mountain motor deal, that's what I kept saying was, well, I'm going to do it to show them I can do it. And if nothing else comes out of it, Bo will know we can put a stick in the Firebird and I can take 100 pounds out. But I kind of made a run and pulled second gear. And then I kept going, even though I was supposed to push the clutch in because the lights kept coming on. So I made my first run and I was like, I might like this.
Well, that's the whole thing. The watching you, stock eliminator racer that's out there on a regular basis. And we know you've done some super gas and super comp and you're able to turn on wind lights, but get this opportunity to jump in a thoroughbred 2000 horsepower mountain motor pro stock car and have these experiences and then relay them to us. Like that is incredible. So tell us about the first time you went to the Stripe. I know you got a little racing in with PDRA a couple of weeks ago. When was that? But when you were able to just lay into it and go to the Stripe and throw in the chutes, all of those things that are like normal fare for people that are doing this on a regular basis, you are going through that. Walk us through it.
Yeah, well, going into this, I had never threw the chutes before. That was something that definitely scared me. And everywhere we had went, I had done some burnouts over the winter, but nothing really panned out for me to go ahead and go up there and launch. I went through all the motions. I got everything ready. But when it came time for it, either weather was bad, track wasn't good enough. So we hadn't made any runs. I was very intimidated going into the Drag Illustrated, the Pro Mod race. And I pull up there to make my first run where I knew I was going to launch. And I look over and see like Ricky Smith's on the guardrail and they're checking the track for their stuff later on. And I was super scared to screw up. Like, please don't take the tree out with Ricky Smith watching. He's kind of a legend in that stuff. And that's probably my biggest fear was taking the tree out right then. But once I got up there and staged, and our plan was like, try to pull second, try to pull third, like see how it goes and push the clutch in. But in all honesty, when I first took off, it's kind of an oh crap moment. Like, you don't have time to catch your breath, and the light kept coming on, and somewhere along the line, I forgot what gear I was in. So I went all the way to fifth. And like I said, I had never pulled the chutes before. And I knew what I should about go. And that's about what my dragster goes in the eighth. So I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I don't need to pull the chute right here. I probably should have, but I got it stopped okay. And from then on, they convinced me that it's a whole lot easier when you pull the chute. And there was really nothing to it. I don't know what I was scared about there. Launching was a whole heck of a lot worse.
Alan?
Well, it saves some wear and tear on the brakes too when you pull the parachute. If you decide you want to experiment with a stick in the Firebird, that car right there has got a G-force in it. So I'll pull it out. You can borrow it before you buy one if you want, because it's got a clutchless G-force in it. I think you'd love it. You talked about it's interesting. I was listening to you talking about doing the burnouts and doing the stuff, but never launching a car. And I was thinking, I don't know if you know Madison Gordon, who took over her dad's alcohol funny car this year. When they went testing, the first couple of times they went out, the track really wasn't up to making full runs, but she did like 6 or 7 burnouts and just kind of went through the procedure and went through that kind of deal. And I think it made her much more comfortable when it was time, because now she doesn't have to worry about, okay, I've got to get all of this right. I already know how to do this. We go through this part of the routine, and then you're learning the next segment. And I got to believe that probably helped a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, actually, like from the very first time that I got in the car, fired it up, and did a burnout, my first burnout was okay. But, and everything like driving Bo's Mustang and different things that I have drove, I've shifted during the burnout. So I don't know, that came a lot easier to me than what I expected. I've had a whole lot more trouble backing up, and I've gotten a little practice at that, and I've made a lot of mental runs backing up. Because even in my dragster, I just, for some reason, the process, I'm slow at backing up. So I think that going and doing like a few burnouts and then, practicing staging, just, it let me like get that in my head and, until I had to take on the next thing. I think that if I would have tried to launch very early on, it would have been definitely intimidating.
All right, so people are asking out there, like this gentleman, Chris, how is Bo Butner doing? And but see, this is we could see. And Derek wants to know, Mountain Motor Pro Stock is not an exhibition class this year; it's a real class. As I understand, it's been a real class for like the past 3 seasons. But have you wrapped your mind around the fact that you might end up racing Bo Butner? Like you guys could be on the track together. Like, have you wrapped your mind around that? Because
I feel like it's the matchup everybody has been waiting for. Like even at the Drag Illustrated race when we were down in Bradenton, like everybody's like, "Oh, you and Bo, it needs to be you and Bo," and that was a chip draw, so it was kind of luck of the draw. Actually, second round we both ended up losing crazy, so I was like, "Man, I wish we would have drew each other second round." But I feel like everybody's kind of excited for us to race, and Bo brings out the best in me on the track. Like I might be sucking, not be able to hit the tree for nothing, but if I have to race Bo, like it just comes out. And I think that it would be very exciting. It's good for the class, it's good camaraderie, and there's a whole lot of crazy personalities in mountain motor. So I really hope that this year that gets seen, and there's somebody for everybody in the class. If you want to root, if you're like the crazy John Force person, like there's a couple of those, that you never know what they're going to say on the mic. And then there's, a couple of the good old guys, the country boys. There's a couple of the New Yorkers so I feel like the whole class as a group, there's a whole lot of personality and a whole lot of excitement that can come from it.
Do you remember what happened the last time you and Bo raced? Just coming to the top of my head, like when was the last time you two raced each other? I think I know.
It was Chicago, and I think I was like 00 something and took 00 on him. And yeah, but that one worked out in my favor. But I have a whole lot of races in Stock Eliminator where I was very good and Bo was better. And those always eat at you.
Alan?
Yeah, I figure if you do a good job and the other guy does a better job, that's one thing. It always bothers me when I lose because I suck. But for people who don't know you or don't follow, we keep seeing behind you the boar's nest sign. Do you want to tell that story?
Well, basically, Bo, everybody in his family is named Jim, Jimmy, James, and people that knew him in school and stuff knew him as Jimmy. Or little Jim. And, he, one day his grandma was babysitting him and he was watching Dukes of Hazzard, and he said, I don't want to be Jim or Jimmy. And she's like, well, what do you want me to call you? And he said, I want to be Bo, like Bo Duke. And it stuck with him his whole life. That's how he got the nickname. That's why we did the Halloween. And pretty much like when we were building this shop, it's out behind our car lot. I was like, well, it has to be Dukes of Hazzard themed. Like our slot car track that's in the background, that's called Hazard County Dragway, and we have a boar's nest. And now my next idea is I want to build a real life like Cooter's Garage with an apartment over it. But that's one of my crazy ideas that's on hold right now.
I support it. I support the idea. 12 cars entered, 8 cars qualify. It's going to be a fight out there at zMAX Dragway. And I'm very excited to see how you do. Randi Lyn, thank you for joining us on the show. I appreciate it. This is something we've all been looking forward to, but I think we all also would love to see you in 500 cubic inch Pro Stock at some point. Is that floating out there in the ether?
I guess you really never know. A year ago, like I never thought I could fly an airplane or drive a mountain motor car. I was perfectly happy being stock eliminator Randy. That's what I always call it. I love stock. I'll advocate for it till the day I die. I think it's the coolest class out there. But the mountain motor stuff and the pro stock stuff, like, it seeps deep down into my roots. I came from Whiteland, Indiana, where Bob Glidden is from. So I've been a big pro stock fan my entire life. And, every sportsman racer dreams of running pro stock. Like, it's all about pro stock, shifting gears and that feeling. And I will say, I never 100%, like, I thought maybe this opportunity would come, but I never was one that was like, oh, it has to happen. I won't be complete if that doesn't happen, because, I've done very well in my stocker and I really like it. But now that the opportunity has came and I haven't sucked yet at it, I like that feeling of being on edge a little bit, and you don't really know what it's going to do and having to be perfect. So if Richard Freeman and, the guys over there think that I can handle it, and you never know. You really never know.
Oh, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Randi Lyn, good luck to you this weekend. We'll see you out there. zMAX Dragway 4 wide. Hopefully everybody's going to come out and watch this or at home on NHRA.tv. Either way, it is going to be great. Thank you for spending a little time with us here on WFO Radio.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Bye, guys. See you this weekend.
There she goes, Randi Lyn. How cool is that, Alan Reinhart? Randi Lyn, Mountain Motor Pro Stock. I'm a traditional Pro Stock person. I like them both, but she's like sounding really good. Like, I really like her attitude going into this.
Oh, I don't care. I just want to know if I could borrow the stocker. If it's just
that's what it's all. You're not a Pontiac guy, Alan. And look, see, the gods, they just zapped you for daring to suggest such a thing. He got like a text message. The internet gods said, no, Reinhart, you do not get to drive Randi Lyn's Firebird. You may not. No, you're a Ford person and you do not get to drive it. And the internet gods just zapped him just like that. Just like that. Wow. All right, guys, put your comments in the comment section. Reinhart's going to be back in a second. Randi Lyn, amazing. Shawn Reed, amazing. Got some big things going on here in the WFO universe. I want to, like, the car. Like, look at that. It is just tremendous. And look, they've even got a shirt that they're got at Hot Rod Randy's Horsepower headquarters. So it is going to be great. But I do want to tell everybody about a couple of things that are going on in the WFO universe. We talked a little bit about Frank Hawley's drag racing school, talked a little bit about samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. The next generation of machinists, where are they coming from? samtech.edu. And my great friend Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. Hot sauces and spice rubs. Like, if you're one of those coffee people, go to Rodak's website. Check it out. But he does business the old-fashioned way. You call him and you order, and he roasts the coffee for you, how you want it. 817-924-6821. If you don't know what you want, he'll give you a little bit of an education, and it is great stuff. Also want to tell you a little bit about CWT Industries, the balance machines that are just making money for the people who have them. All supporters of WFO Radio, the folks at Foggett, on board with WFO. Project Pontiac is advancing. Great stuff. And I got a couple questions I want to ask you a little later on in the show. But look who's back. Yeah, they zapped you. The gods of the internet decided to zap Reinhart for daring suggest he would be driving Randi Lyn's Stalker.
No, I was just going to ask if it was just sitting there. I mean, you don't want to see it rust, right? So and if I was driving it, the chances of it wearing out are probably pretty thin, right? Because I'm not going to be Dan Fletcher, right? You remember, you might not even know the story. It was so far ahead of your time. Dan Fletcher went to Columbus and won the race. And so instead of going back to work, he's like, you know what? I just won a race. I made some money. I'm going to go to Denver. So he went to Denver and he won. Well, now, you're 1,500 or 1,800 miles from home. And do you want to go all the way back home, or, San Francisco just right over there, right? And you're in Denver, you're going to coast down the mountain. So he went there and he won. And then once you're in Sonoma, it'd be stupid to go back to New York and not go to Seattle. So he went to Seattle and he won. And then he went home and quit his job. But when he was in Seattle, he's like, yeah, the motor was supposed to be freshened up like 15 runs ago. But when I left the house, I wasn't thinking you're going to go win 4 races in a row and just keep beating the snot out of this thing. So the good news for Randi is, the chances of me wearing it out are pretty slim, because I don't see that happening.
I agree with that. No, that is an excellent point, you are making. She said what she said about.
And I'd put a clutch in it. I'd put the stick in it. I'll supply the transmission. So
sportsman racers think about racing pro stock. That is, when I went back home to my local track, they would see me walking around. Everybody knows that I work with the NHRA, and they would ask me about pro stock. Like the bracket racers would be like, yeah, but what about pro stock? I'd be like, but Ron Capps. And they're like, yeah, but tell me about pro stock. That's where their heads were. And to hear her say that, I think drives home a point that maybe a lot of people don't fully understand. Yes, the nitro cars are amazing. They're amazing. They're awesome. But if you've got a bracket car, you got a sportsman car, you're out there in stock eliminator, chances are you go to the rail to watch pro stock.
I think so. And I think it depends on what you race, right? If you are a dragster guy, whether it's a super comp guy or a bracket guy or a top dragster guy, then I think a lot of those, kind of look over towards the injected nitro cars as maybe the next step, or, ultimately potentially top fuel, because dragsters are what they do. But I think if you're a door car guy, then pro stock is your class. I know when I was a kid and I was racing the Mustang that you see on the lift behind me, I had a 70 Roadrunner that I raced for a number of years. When I was young, nitro cars just seemed like completely out of the realm of anything I might ever be able to experience. But a pro stock car was really close to what mine was, right? I mean, obviously not close to what mine, but you get what I mean. You get in, you sit in the seat, you shift the gears, you do. I mean, the pro stock car was the ultimate level of driving a stick car down the drag strip, which is what I did. And so that was something that I remember being in Tulsa, Oklahoma one time. I broke the rear end in the thing, and the guy that was pitted next to me was helping me, and we're laying under there, and they're like, okay, up next is top fuel, and we're under my car going, up next is funny car, we're under, up next is pro stock. And I looked at him, I said, you want to take a break? And he said, yeah, let's do that. So we went and stood in the back of the pickup. We were close enough to the track that we could stand in the back of the pickup and see the cars going down the racetrack. Took a break, watched pro stock, and as soon as pro stock was over with, we were back underneath the car, putting my car back together.
Well, exactly. And that mirrors my feeling as well. Love top fuel, love funny car. They are my favorite. But, pro stock has that spot where I feel connected to it. And if I was going to drive anything, I would love to get to someplace. Pro stock would be the place to be. And apparently a lot of people agree, because there are like 22 of them on the entry list for the 4-wide at the Bellagio.
Beautiful.
Including Dave Connolly. He's on the entry list. I don't know if that's accurate or what the deal is. It a mistake? Whether that is, regardless, that would make it 21. But what a stacked field we have going into the second half of the 4-wide season.
No, Dave, I'm sure that's not a mistake. He was. It was announced somewhere earlier in the year that he was going to drive a race or two. I'm trying to remember the circumstances, but I bet if you go to NHRA.com and scroll back a little bit, you can find it. But no, I don't think that's a mistake at all. I think it'll be good seeing him back behind the wheel. I think that anybody that knows Dave Connolly and remembers when he was driving, he has not forgotten how to drive one of these things. I think that if he gets behind the wheel, then he'll be a factor. And I also think that it'll help him in his day job, because getting in the car once in a while will remind you about what's going on when your driver comes to you and says, hey, I'm feeling this or I'm getting that. And I don't see any downside at all. And I really think that he could go out there and hurt some feelings.
I agree. He he ran Hartford's car in Bradenton, made the final round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, the muscle memory, and you maybe get even a little beginner's luck all over again. Funny car, Jeg Coughlin looking for the sweep. The sweep is something that I think is big. I want to talk it up. I do think.
By the way, your four-headed broom idea.
The four-headed broom.
Dumb.
You don't like it?
You do come up with some very good ideas. The four-headed broom idea is dumb.
Okay, well, I appreciate your honesty. Like that's you got to come up with a lot of ideas to have some good ones. They can't all be winners. I submit the four-headed broom. You're kind of you're dismissing it. You're dismissive of the idea. I'm sure there's someone out there that likes it, but until you actually see,
there's not.
Until you actually see the four-headed broom, 4-wide sweep with a four-headed broom, you haven't fully experienced it. Someone in the audience is making that broom right now. Don't deter them, Alan.
Don't make the broom.
There will be a broom this weekend with 4 heads on it. Someone's gonna bring it. Okay. Jeg Coughlin trying for the 4-wide sweep. There should be a big bonus. There should be a name to it. It's something that I'm pushing. I'm not in the sales department to make such things happen or decide. Maybe deep down buried, there's a reason why it would be a bad thing. But to sweep the 2 4-wide races is a big deal. Jeg Coughlin is trying. Of course, Doug Kalitta is trying. This is a big deal. Bob Tasca is trying.
Well, since they're both semi tracks, maybe we could get one of Marcus Smith's people involved in this thing, and I'm sure that they could come up with something. But yeah, the 4-headed broom is definitely not it. We're a long way from talking about sweeps, right? Let's go into Friday. Let's get a run under our belt. Let's go into Saturday. Let's see how the Too Fast, Too Tasty goes. The first time that we did the 4-wide Too Fast, Too Tasty, I thought was really cool. And the fact that because it's 4-wide, that means 8 cars are coming back to be part of the Too Fast, Too Tasty. And I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that we're going to have some spoilers get a chance to get in the field, because I don't believe Jason Rupert's making the trip, and he earned a spot. So we've got a chance, for potentially an upset winner, if you'd want to call it that, right? Somebody that didn't qualify but got in as an alternate, which are allowed in the Too Fast, Too Tasty. I think that's going to be a pretty exciting race, and that's one that I'm really looking forward to. And then we'll start talking about the sweep on Sunday. Now,
absolutely,
if Jeg Coughlin, because he did win the Too Fast, Too Tasty last week, if he wins the Too Fast, Too Tasty again, then you can really start talking about a sweep.
And then he becomes the top taco again, right? Like that was the Austin. There's another idea that was thrown out there. That was Todd Rogers from Goodyear, though. I did not come up with top taco, but I like it a lot.
I liked when Daniel Wilkerson called it the Chimichanga Challenge. I think, anything that's got the Mexican food theme to go along with our friends at Mission, sign me up for that, but not a 4-headed broom. Not
okay. Got it. Well, listen. All right, like we can put it. We now are to the, because I did veto baby the hatchlings. I came at you with the hatchlings pretty hard, and now you don't like the 4-headed broom. So it's bound to happen, right? It's bound to happen. We're not going to agree. Hey, did you see Tasca? Did you happen to hear Tasca on the show last week? I asked him a question about poking it in the final, right? Because Austin had mentioned that he had gone in deep like John Force, and Tasca was very ready for the question and had a deep response, which everyone is welcome to go back into the archive on YouTube and like and click the bell and share and all of those things. We put it out. We put part of it out on social where he's talking a little bit about how it's an old school driver thing versus a new school driver thing. And I can do whatever the heck I want to do on the starting line. Did you happen to hear that? He was very animated.
I didn't hear it. I was in Vegas all last week when we finished up more of the Winter Nationals and then ran the double divisional with 600 cars up there. So I didn't get a whole lot of chance to catch up on most of my internet stuff. But I agree with Bob. I think, one, there's no lane choice in the final round. So if you are in the early rounds, I am a big believer that shallow staging is the way to go, because more often than not, I think lane choice is more important. And unless you win the race by 3 inches, you really didn't do anything on the starting line anyway, other than manipulate the scoreboard. But there's no lane choice in the winner's circle. So once you're in the final round, if you want to roll her in there 100th or 2, do it. And I certainly don't think he staged with his headers. I mean, if you look at the numbers, and the 60-foot number is the telling one, he was in there a couple of hundredths. So, he ran 89, probably, maybe 88, real high 88. But, I think, especially in the final round, there's no downside to taking every advantage you want. And if I'm him, I'm doing it. And if somebody wants to call me out on it, I don't care. I'm still doing it.
Yeah. And in this case, it could be argued that it got him the win, right? Triple hole shot by a couple of inches. He plugged it in a little deep and got the job done. It was his response. And I encourage everyone. Of course, I want you all to listen to the show and subscribe and click the bell and share the show and grow the audience. PowerTube TV. Everybody knows that. That's my motivation. But we do these interviews, and every once in a while, someone drops a little, knowledge, a little science, and it's important for everyone to go back and check. So if you didn't see Bob last week, just fast forward to Bob. Bob was great, although Doug Kalitta was great too. And all the Kalitta Motorsports cars have been able to score a win now, and we're 5 races in. That's amazing, the turnaround that has happened at Kalitta Motorsports, and Doug Kalitta getting on the board in his championship season.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive what they're doing up there in Michigan right now. They just seem like, everything's clicking. And aside from some personnel changes, it's not like they got new cars. It's not like they got new parts. It's not like they made some personnel changes. and it looks like they got the chemistry in the right place right now, and everything's doing, as you would hope it to do if you are the team owner or if you are one of the employees of Kalitta Motorsports. Right now, they've got it going. But I'll tell you something else, going back to the deep stage thing, and I don't think you can rattle Austin Prock. Okay, this isn't pointed at him. Don't, come with me like, oh, Reinhart said. But I can tell you this, Joe, if I'm racing you and I know there's something that bothers you, I'm doing it every time. Every time. Because if I can get you thinking about something other than the tree, then I think that's an advantage for me. And I think, I don't think Austin was necessarily bothered by anything other than they called it a triple hole shot, when if Bob stages naturally and wins the race anyway, then his scoreboard says 89. But I think, Austin was speaking his mind and Bob was speaking his right back, and I'm good with both of those.
Yes. Exactly. Well, Austin, you keep saying what you want, and Bob, talk to us like the way you talk to us like that, because you've earned the right to do that, and
Sure.
People will listen, and then we will watch. We will watch.
You know what?
All right.
If I won the race and everybody else is mad at me because I won the race, I'll deal with that.
Exactly. All right. So a couple of things. I need you to give us a recap of Las Vegas as best as you can. There's been racing all around, like Nick Lancier's talking about his dad winning his first Wally in Vegas in class, which is a big, big deal. You're not going to believe this, but Bill Satchel says he likes the four-headed broom, Reinhart. Ha ha. There's one. It's not me.
Bill
It's
Satchel. What's that a name you made up? Is that a name you made up, Joe?
He's on the screen.
Well, you put me on full screen. Were you there in the background going, new account for Bill Satchel. I love the broom.
He's all caps too. He likes it a lot. Caps and broom. All right, give us I want to finish by the bottom of the hour so that the Life's a Drag guys, who are having a very special guest on this week, can get some of the audience so we can grow their show a little bit. But give us a four-wide the breakdown from the divisional race out there at Las Vegas.
Well, it was a really, really, really busy week. And if I was going to run down for you everybody who won, we wouldn't make the bottom of the hour and you'd be late to Life's a Drag. But with finishing up a number of classes from the Pomona event, we've now finished up everything from the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, except Alcohol Dragster, which will concluded later on in the year. But getting those all finished up was pretty cool. And then we had a double divisional with 600 plus cars. A couple of things that stand out. The Cody Lane, the Hancock and Lane car in Comp Eliminator, and Ryan Pretty. It seemed like they were like punching each other out in the final round, race after race after race. So they both had very good and very satisfying points weekends. The Weber family had a really good weekend. Chad Weber won the Winter Nationals and won the first race, and then Bill Weber won the second race. So there's a whole lot more trophies that are headed back to Sherway Machine in Kingman, Arizona. And overall, it was just a really good, really clean race. Nobody really tore up any equipment. Nobody crashed. Nothing bad happened. We had some pretty good weather. It was a little breezy a couple of days, which is just typical for Vegas. But 600 cars, finished Pomona, ran 2 complete races, and we're out of there before the sun went down on Sunday. It was really a team effort by everybody involved, but it was tremendous. And I love that race, and as much as I love the one at the end of the year when you've got 700 or 800 cars there and everybody's vying for that last little move in the championship. If you're a big sportsman racing fan, stay an extra week in Vegas and check it out. But it was just a great weekend all around. Jeff Foster and his staff do such a great job out there, and it was a fun race. It's simple as that.
And okay, I'm getting all kinds. Like Blake also likes the four-headed broom. Jim Essex sent me a photo of a four-headed broom, and since I've seen the photo, I like the idea less. That's like, look at that. That's not what I'm thinking about. Mine is more of a contraption with it's all crazy. Something out of Wizard of Oz, four-headed broom. But in the we're trending four-headed broom. But I want to share a big piece of great information that came out of Silver Dollar. Sue Morris of Dave and Sue Morris. Sue is the co-host of the Ignition Show. She won her first Super Street race. Like, this is a perfect example of she got an opportunity to drive. She decided she wanted to do it. She did the right things. And now she is a Wally winner at the divisional level. It's amazing. People can go and listen to the Ignition podcast from yesterday to hear the whole story, but that's how it's supposed to go.
No, I love it. And, for everybody who aspires to be in a nitro car, everybody who aspires to be in a pro stock car, I guarantee you there's 100 people out there that are aspiring to be in a super street car or in a stock eliminator car. If you go to the races and watch, or if you go to the races as a crewman, or if you go to the bracket races, but you don't have a car that would fit into a natural NHRA class, making the move, getting the opportunity is a big deal, and winning your first Wally is a big deal. I don't care what class it is. I don't care what car it is. I don't care. Winning your first Wally is a big deal, and that's why they are so coveted.
Yes, and that's why I'm doing Project Pontiac. That's what the 78 Trans Am is all about. There's no guarantees that will ever happen, the kind of success that Sue just had. But I bracket raced. I won a track championship. I've won many races. It's different to do it on a pro tree in an index class in the NHRA. It's just different. The only bummer is that it wasn't streamed anywhere. Otherwise, we'd be playing that. But regardless, congratulations, Sue. Final thought, Alan, before we head to zMAX.
I don't believe that a guy will ever win a Wally when he's sitting in the water box thinking about a four-headed broom. That's my final thought.
That's fair. That is fair. Let's see how it goes. I just hope someone brings a four-headed broom and they're out there.
Now, I'm looking forward to getting to zMAX. The forecast is supposed to be a little cooler than it was in Vegas, at least the first couple of days. Sunday it cooled off in Vegas, and holy smokes, did we have a great race. And, the forecast, I believe, out there is going to be like 70s or low 80s, and that means the cars will be fast. It's a spectacular surface to race on, and looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Actually, looking forward to going to the Waltrip Brewing Company for the Thursday night deal, because I think I've still got a couple of the Have a Drink on Mikey coupons that he gave me when I was in Bristol last year.
Okay, wrap this into 30 seconds. Everybody wants to know if you're going 3 for 3. Tony Schumacher going to be inducted into the Motorsport Hall of Fame of America, where you are a fixture out there. I think that is tremendous for Tony. I'm very excited that his career is going to be honored. But are you the official inductor?
I doubt it, and it's way, way too early for that decision to be made. That usually happens, 6 months down the road or whatever. Tony, I'm sure, has a list of 3 or 4 or a dozen people that have been a big part of his career that he would ask to have him to come out and take that honor. I doubt seriously that I'm even on the list. I've watched Tony for his entire career. I've certainly respected him his entire career, but I don't.
It's
I
more
doubt
of a
that it would
joke,
be me.
right? Like Austin Coyle.
Oh, okay.
Manson Hines. You're like the official guy. You come with the Hall of Fame.
I would be honored. I would be honored if he asks me, but I don't believe he will.
Copy that. I understand. All right, Alan. Great job as usual. Thank you so much. Appreciate you greatly.
Thanks, Joe. Have fun on Life's a Drag, and I will see you in a couple days.
Thank you, sir. There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. And yes, good luck with this mission. But when this show ends, you can go over to the Life's a Drag account, and their show will begin, and I will be on there with those gentlemen, Jason Galvin and Jason Logan. And what are they going to ask me about? I have no idea. But we're going to tackle many great topics, and I'm sure it will be very fun. And, maybe some of this audience can go over there and be a part of that, and you guys could like it, but then go right immediately back to the archive and listen to the Ignition show. A couple of things. Patreons. You guys are getting new content today. Hear it from Heiner, the Pro Stock Show. Really great stuff. We're going to delve into all the intake manifold rules that just came down. Hear it from Heiner. But this next one is even more importantly. It's about tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show, 12 noon Eastern time. I expect it to be a very insider kind of thing. Lonnie Grimm, NHRA's National Tech Director, is going to join us on the show for Ask the Tech Director. We are going to hit Lonnie with some questions like, what's up with these intake manifold rules, and what is the genesis, and where do they come from, and what is the final word? We're going to ask Lonnie Grimm about what's going on in Pro Stock Motorcycle and, the fuel and the hot topics for the tech department. Lonnie has agreed to come on. We're going to ask him fair and straightforward questions, and we are going to receive fair and straightforward answers. And I think this is the best way to achieve transparency, and not only that, but respect and appreciation for all the hardworking people out there who are doing their jobs every single week, who, are unheralded for their efforts. So we're going to do that tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern time. Do not miss it. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell, all of that stuff. Now, here's our YouTube question of the week for the YouTube comments section. Great job last week with Tasca. I appreciate you guys. YouTube comments section question of the week. Would you like to see Randi Lyn Butner race in NHRA 500 cubic inch traditional pro stock, thus having maybe an Erica Enders versus Randi Lyn Butner matchup, or a Greg Anderson versus Randi Lyn Butner matchup? Is that something that intrigues you? Would you enjoy seeing that at some point in the future? ... Richard Freeman ? Because I think that could happen, and I think it would sell some tickets. I think people would love to see it. But yes, later on today, hear it from Heiner for Patreons. If you'd like to become a Patreon, join the other Patreons, you can do so. Patreon.com/WFO radio. It is our VIP listener club. And let's see what people say. Jim Essex is out here on YouTube. He sent me the picture of the four-headed broom. Thank you very much. Ant Dog, a bicycle racer, or rad, BMX, right? He says, great show. Thank you very much. Noon live tomorrow. Yes, Scott. Noon live tomorrow. Ask the tech director. And if you've got a question, you can slide it into my DM. How crazy is that? Sounds terrible. Slide it into my DM. WFO Joe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, Life's a Drag is next. Yes, they've got a YouTube channel. They've got an X account. I'll be on there. I'm going to be signing on. We'll hear what they say. I'm sure we're going to be talking about food, right? That's what it's all about. Food. Thanks for the great show. Yeah, Reinhart doesn't like the four-headed broom. Guys, I'm not going to make a four-headed broom. I'm not bringing it on a plane. But if someone shows up with a four-headed broom to present to whoever sweeps the back-to-back four-wide, because four-wide broom, get it? You got that? Blake likes my idea. Thank you, Blake. Even if you don't really like the idea, Blake, thank you for supporting me against Reinhart, because we all know that's really what it's all about, right? Little back and forth. He's still sore that I didn't like the hatchlings and I went against it, and it just makes perfect sense. Nick says, great show, Joe. Thank you very much. And we've been having a couple of really great shows the past few weeks. Here's the deal. We're moving into the heart of the season. We're headed to Chicago after zMAX, and then we're headed to New England. We're going to be out there all around. NHRA is having a great start, but everyone's got to pull in the right direction. We want to see. Did you see Michael Jordan? Did you see after the NASCAR race at Talladega, Michael Jordan was in attendance for his very first win, like his win. The team had won, but he had never been there. Denny Hamlin was saying how he was bad luck and all that. This guy, one of the greatest competitors in world history, says that auto racing fills the void for him. Now, he happens to be NASCAR racing, right? But there are so many people that would love to be involved in our sport as a sponsor for Shawn Reed, as a sponsor, as a team owner, there's just so many things out there that can help grow our sport of NHRA drag racing. And we all need to push it or pull it or invite new people or wear our gear, wearing your NHRA shirt, cool gear out into public when you're not surrounded by NHRA friends or fans. And they're like, well, what is that? And be like, oh, it's professional drag racing. This is the Major League Baseball of drag racing. This is the pinnacle of competition in drag racing. That works. It brings in new people, and our sport is growing. It has grown, and it's probably, I know the classic days with 60, pro stockers were amazing and 64 funny cars, but the level playing field of competition where Shawn Reed can go out there this weekend after we had that great interview and he could win this race. That is amazing. It's never been like this before. And it's just something that I really think we should appreciate and push and talk to people about and tell them about and encourage them to come out to zMAX Dragway or wherever we happen to be on a regular basis. And the tour is moving on. We're on our way. And it is going to be great. And shows like this one, I'm asking you to please subscribe. Subscribe, click the bell, share the show. We have such compelling and interesting personalities. Guys and girls racing together and against each other. There's nothing like it in the world. There's nothing like it in the world. We haven't caught up with John Force since his big win. We got to do that in the coming weeks. A little break between zMAX and Chicago. And so we'll try to get Force on there. Let's see what this guy says. Butch, Your shows have great inside information. Thank you. The Bob Tasca interview. Guys, go listen to Bob Tasca on YouTube after Life's a Drag, because I'm going to be on with those guys here in a few minutes. Let's see. I practically wear my racing shirts, half of my wardrobe. Yes, I think that is great. YouTube question of the week in the YouTube comments, not the live chat. Would you like to see Randi Lyn Butner run a 500 cubic inch pro stock car? Would that be a draw for you? Show worthy. Let us know what you think. We need to get MJ to Chicago race when he was there. He would love it. Henry says, thanks for the insight on what's going on behind the scenes. Thank you, Henry. This is WFO. This is what it's all about. We are one of many shows out there, but we were definitely the first, and we are certainly the longest running. That is a fact. You can subscribe to the audio only, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up right here. But if you head over to Life's a Drag, if you're watching live, you will see me pop on with those guys. And we're going to have a good time. Jason Galvin, Jason Logan, and myself. And we'll probably talk about all the things we ate in Las Vegas. And then later on today, the Patreons are going to get a Hear It From Heiner show. That's right, Michael Heiner. All this stuff going on in Pro Stock. What does he think? What's the deal? Hear it from Heiner, happening later today, but only the Patreons get to see that. That's kind of the benefit of being a Patreon. All right, guys. Thanks to Randi Lyn. Thanks to Shawn Reed. Thanks to Reinhart. Four-headed broom.